Okay, good afternoon, ladies. Thank you so much for being here today for our October Foundations of Learning Read to Succeed course. We're just going to go ahead and start from the very beginning. Our theme today is miscue analysis. And you guys know that we've been talking about some different running records that some of you have been doing those. I think the lower grades did DRA. Is that what y'all did? Yes. And the upper grades, we did some IRIs. And so we're going to kind of take those things a step further because a lot of times I think we are doing these tests just so we can have that baseline data, that information that we can use for where to start our kids, what to put in our SLO, all those kinds of things, right? Well, really the purpose of these running records, any test, any type of assessment that we're taking, any data that we can get from our students is to drive instruction. And because we're stressed a lot of times, I think we miss out on that. But miscue analysis, if y'all just want to follow along with me on your blend space, is really reader support. It's kind of the 911. When you have a student who you are not really sure what we need to do, you can't figure out what's going on, the miscue analysis is kind of like your 911. It's your emergency room. A struggling reader is the 911. You know they need help. Many times you just don't really know what to do beyond the fact that they need help. But when you learn how to do the miscue, you can see miscues, errors that they make over and over and over again, and you can take that data to drive your instruction. Okay? So we're going to learn some of that today. You know, every time we meet, there are 4 different elements to our afternoon, and it's going to be the same way today. We are going to do them in a different order today because we want you to do one thing before you do another one so you can use that information to help you. We're going to start with our reading workshop. If you will go, I think it's screen number 4. Y'all there? Okay, we're going to start with a mini lesson where we're going to read a sample miscue. It's an IRI form, a passage that you might be familiar with if you did with your students. I recognized it when I saw it. Then we are going to compare and contrast a running record and what it's for, and then the miscue analysis and what it's for. Then we're going to look at some different miscue coding systems. You looked at one, you used one for IRI. Many of you know some coding systems that you've used for other things that, I don't know about. We talked about when you were doing your IRIs that you could choose whatever coding system you would like. We're going to do that. And then we're going to watch a video of a reader and go through the miscues with the people at your table that reader is making. And then we're going to kind of talk about it and do something with a Symbaloo. So, do you think, Melissa, you could turn out one light for me, please? This is an IRI passage that we used, and the teacher has made some miscue codes, used their miscue codes to chart this. And I just want to read it to you the way that the student read it, and you follow along with me, either on your screen or this one, okay? I went to pet very, very much. My mother said I have to wait. We'll have had this talk many times, my mother and I. Dad said I could buy some goldfish. They are small and can fit well in a small room. But my brother has 4 fish. I want something different. I want something of my own. On one day, Grandma showed me flowers hanging in her window. She had many kinds of flowers. Grandma told me she would help me grow flowers of my own. She said that they are not the same as a pet, but their flowers can be magic to a city home. Okay, when you look at that, what do you notice? They self-corrected. Not every time, but several times. Anything else? Okay. some confusion between they and their, which those are similar words in spelling and phonetically. Right, a lot of times the meaning wasn't affected. The meaning wasn't changed. Say that again. Yes. Yeah, it almost seems like at the beginning there's less making sense than later on in the passage. Do you see that? So that could, even be nerves, really. Okay, let's move on to the comprehension. Did anybody else recognize this passage? Some of you that, okay. When asked what is this story about, the student said, a boy that wanted a pet. What was it really? A girl. It was really a girl. How does the girl who is telling the story feel about pets? If you notice, the student, once again, self-corrects. She doesn't want what has, I can't see from here. Okay, what bro has. Does like flowers. What kind of pet does her dad say she can buy? He answered fish. What probably caused him to suggest fish for her pets? He also, was it a he or she that this was, Melissa? I can't remember. Okay, I was talking about the reader. The reader said her brother has 4 fish. That wasn't quite right. What does her brother have for his pets? She said 4 fish. Why doesn't the girl want fish? She said her brother has them, which is not exactly what's written down, but does she have the meaning? Absolutely. What does the word different mean? It's a vocabulary question. She got that correct. It was not the same. What did the girl's grandmother tell her after she showed her the flowers? She could take care of her own flowers. And so she got that correct too. Do you notice anything? What kind of questions was she missing? She struggled with the main idea in just that it was the boy-girl thing. Inference, very good, inference. And that's kind of a higher level skill.
Would you count that first question as wrong or just like half off? If someone wants a pet, she just got the boy-girl wrong.
Well, but it doesn't say in the story whether it's a boy or girl. The story does not, I want a pet very, very much.
Does it indicate, nowhere does it indicate that that's a girl.
It's actually in the, and I only know this because I gave that passage, it's in the introductory statement.
Yeah.
Read the story about a girl who, and I'm sorry I cut that off, but that.
Okay, I'm going to say that on the microphone just so it will be here. The passage does not say that it is whether or not it's a boy or a girl, but the introductory statement does mention that it's a girl. That's just not on the
So what would you do
in the picture.
I'll tell you, when I was giving these, this might not be the correct thing to do, but when I gave a lot of these, and when I was giving these, like something like that, I probably would not check it. I would leave it blank and do all the rest of it. And then if it looked like that was going to like make or break it, then that's where I would make the decision. Like if they got every other question right, then you can count that wrong and they still pass. But if it looked like that was the make or break and you're like, well, they know what the story's about, then I would say, okay, they did pass it. But they might miss every question after that too. And then you don't have to.
I would probably give half credit too. Melissa, what would you do?
Yeah, and most of them tell you if you can get, like, as you get higher levels, they'll tell you can get half credit.
Yeah, no, one
Yeah.
was sequencing. You had to give the order what he does when he goes to the river in the order
Yeah.
that he does it.
And that one wasn't like a detail. If that had been a detail, then I would say they definitely got it wrong. But it wasn't a detail question.
Okay.
Okay. So the difference between running records and miscue analysis, this just kind of flows together from the left to the right. In a running record, which is what we were doing with the IRI, right? We were looking at what the students did and what they said while they were reading. But in a miscue analysis, we're looking at which cue system a reader is using. Okay? In a running record, we're using 3 cueing systems: visual, syntax, structure, and meaning. And in a miscue analysis, the 3 systems are graphophonic, syntactic, and semantic. In a running record, we're focusing on the number of miscues. Remember, we gave them a % accuracy score. And in a miscue analysis, we're focusing on the kind and the quality of the miscues, kind of like we discussed at the end. What kind of miscues were we seeing over and over? In a running record, we're checking words read correctly and document the student's deviation from the text. But in a miscue, we're marking only the student's deviation from the text. In a running record, the teacher gives words to the student after 4 seconds when they're stuck. In the miscue, the teacher never gives the word. Instead, asks questions like, what do you know about that word? Kind of prompting them but not giving them the word. And then finally, in a running record, after reading, we might or might not answer ask the comprehension questions. But in a miscue analysis after reading, there's not necessarily comprehension questions. They are retelling. It's a retelling. Unaided. If you have to prompt with some questions, you can do that, but it's more of a retelling. Does that make sense? And remember that this is your 911. It is not for every student. You're not taking the time to do this for every student. It's for those students that you're not really sure where the needs are. Here is one coding system that they gave us to look at. It is not the one we use for IRI. Here's the one we used for IRI. And once again, some of you used your own that you knew from other programs, which is fine. You can use whatever system that you want. Today we were at a meeting where we were looking at yet another book, and it had a different coding system than this one. So whatever you're familiar with, whatever you know, use that. Make up your own. Just joking. Okay, we're going to watch this video of a kindergarten reader. Is he from this school? Yes, okay. And I'm going to pass out to you before we get started. I'm going to pass out to you the pages that he is reading. And while he is reading, I want you to go ahead and do an analysis on it, or a miscue, just like we did when we were doing the IRIs or the DRAs. I think Melissa's getting that. Thank you. This student would be a first grader this year. You might recognize him. He was from Melissa's class last year. It's a boy. We're reading from 2 pages in a book. Melissa said, don't listen to the conversation that's going on and just score the miscues. Okay, if you will, just take a minute to talk to the people at your table. Discuss the different things you noticed about him as a reader, what kind of miscues he was making. What kind of things did you notice? What kind of things did you notice? What kind of things did you notice?
He didn't know.
He knew what he didn't know. He knew what he didn't know. That's important in life. What else? What else?
Somebody said he looks
Somebody
for
said
patterns.
he looks for patterns.
Anybody else?
He went back
Anybody
and read
else?
the whole first page again. It was almost like I've got to get it right.
Okay.
He went all the way
Okay.
back and read the whole thing again before he went to the second page.
Okay.
So he was definitely
Okay,
engaged.
so he was definitely engaged.
And he knew.
Because I could see where he would say scarf or skirt. I mean, he knew.
He knew his blends.
He knew his beginnings and his beginning.
Okay.
Okay.
Maggie said he was using
Maggie
the
said he was
some,
using
she
the
felt
picture
like.
some, she felt like.
Or at least they aided him.
Or at least they
Crown.
aided him. The crown.
Okay, those are all really
Okay,
good
those
things.
are all really good things.
Is this kind of how you miscued it, marked it?
miscued it, marked it? Something similar to that. Similar to that. He did a lot of self-correcting. He did a lot of self-correcting, didn't he? Okay. Okay. I am going to pass out to you. I'll make sure I'm doing this at the right time. I'm doing this at the right time. If you will turn, go to screen 10. Screen 10. And if you will scroll down, this is a symbol. You're going to learn about these. You're going to learn about these today in your tech time. When we do rotations, and this is a symbol. If you will go to the one that is for us, it's the orange one. And click on it. And let me show you how to make
let me show you how to make it big.
One person at your
One
table.
person
if you
at your
notice
table.
Each
If you
table
notice
has
each
a
table has
number
a
on it.
number
If you're
on
not
it.
at a table,
If you're
just
not
go
at a
to a table that
just
has a
go
number.
to a table that has a number.
I think there are. It's one,
I think
two,
there are.
three,
It's
four,
1, 2,
five,
3,
six,
4,
and there's
5,
7 over
6,
there.
and there's 7 over there.
If you will go to
If
a
you
table
will
with
go
a
to
number
a
on
table
it,
with a
and
number
one
on
person
it,
in that
and
group
one person
is
in that
going to
group
be your
is going to be
secretary.
your
And if you
secretary.
click on this
And if you
box
click on
right
this
here with an
box
arrow,
right here with an arrow,
it will make it big.
it
on
will
your
make
screen.
it big on your screen.
And this is to help keep
this
us
is to
from.
help
Remember
keep
last
us
time
from.
when
Remember
everybody was
last
typing
time
at
when
the
everybody
same
was
time and
typing
it was
at
like
the same
craziness
time and it
on
was
the
like
screen.
craziness on the screen.
Well, this time we've broken
Well,
it
this
up
time
into
we've
groups.
broken it up
so
into
whatever
groups.
your
So
number
whatever
is at
your
your
number
table,
is at your table,
you are going to type
you are going
answers
to
to
type
those questions
answers to
as
those
that
questions
group. So
as
group
that
1,
group.
you're going to
So
type
group
in these
1,
boxes,
you're going to type
and one
in these
person
boxes,
from your
and
group
one
will be
person from
typing.
your group will be
Does that
typing.
make sense?
Does that make sense?
There are 4 questions. Is everybody with me? You want me to keep moving? Sharon said, yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Okay. There are 4 questions, and you are going to answer each of those questions. How does this compare to other reading assessments like DRA, Dibbles, Domini, STAR, IRI? What did you learn that this reader is doing? Do you see any patterns in the miscues? And what would your next teaching move be?
Right here? Malice's wildest spell.
Okay, we kind of talked before about the first 3 questions. We talked about what we saw that the reader was doing and any patterns. I want to ask you, though, what would your next teaching move be? What did you guys put? Because that is the purpose of these tests, right? It's really to drive our instruction. So what would we do? What did you put down that you would do? Melissa, I'm going to put you on the spot because I heard you say a good one.
I'm supposed to remember it now too, right? Oh, yeah, I did say that. I would reinforce the strategies that we've been working on, like making beginning sounds.
Reinforce strategies like working on beginning sounds, looking at pictures,
Going back to reread.
going back to reread,
Then if you're really stuck, make a guess.
and then maybe make a guess, see if it makes sense. Those are all good. She must be a good teacher. Anybody else? I have my days, yeah. Anybody else? Well, those are the things that we need to be thinking about when we are doing these kind of meetings with our kids. You know, at this meeting I was at today, I sat with the reading coach from Woodruff, and they do running record on every child every week. They do, and I was like, oh. Well, they do it during small group instruction. She said, I'm like, how do you do that? I want to go observe, and hopefully I will go observe. And I will take you with me. They don't use a basal. No, but when she does small group instruction, she said these 2 over here, she says to them, read for a minute. And she just does real quickly a running record with this child. She said it's like 100 words, and they use something they're already reading. It's not, or something from one of their books. And then she said that way she knows if she needs to move this child to a different group. They group different ways. Sometimes they group for reading level, and sometimes they group for skill. So, but most of their instruction is small group and not whole group. But anyway, I thought that was interesting, and I thought that was kind of neat, because they're constantly using that to move their kids and make sure their kids are learning new things. And I loved that about them. Okay, we're going to move into our literacy stations. We don't normally do that next, but we're going to talk about some things when you're with me, and so that you can use when we do our writing workshop. Okay, so if you are at this table right here, then I'm going to let you stay here for now, and you are going to start with the writing portion. Let me move out of this real quick, please, so you can look at the screen and see what it is we're doing. Okay, independent writing. Independent means you are by yourself. You're working on your own. You're going to read an independent miscue that I'm going to give to you in just a minute. And then there's 3 questions at the bottom of the page, and you're going to respond to them there. If you have extra time, you can work on your a blog. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? To have a minute to work on a blog. You probably would not have time to do the whole thing, but you can do that. The next section would be the independent reading. Since you're already right here, just stay here for now. And what you're going to be doing is, if you go to, on the It's Learning page, if you go to October Professional Development, under Course Readings, you are going to go ahead and read one of those articles so you can get your Padlet done for this month and check it off the list. If you go to the next, not the next screen, but the next, let's see. See this right here? There's the Padlets. Go to the one for our school and go ahead and do your Padlet, and you can check that off your list for October. That screen is 16. Okay, if you are right here, you guys are going to do the tech tool, and that's going to be Symbaloo, and Melissa's going to do that with you since Dawn is not here today, and she will come up here and show it to you. If you already know how to do tech, you can work on your blog. Symbaloo. And then finally, if you are not at a table, then you're going to meet me in the well over there. What do y'all call that? The story well. You're going to meet me in the story well for guided reading, and we're going to go over one of our articles that is required for required reading.